This video is about how we gain knowledge. We'll also discuss how we can gain perfect knowledge. How do we gain knowledge of this world? We experience the world through our 5 senses. The information then comes into our mind for processing. Like rivers flowing to the ocean, the senses constantly give information to the mind. Whatever environment we're in, we experience it through these 5 senses. Even our information of distant places, through newspaper, television, and so on, ultimately comes to us through our 5 senses. These senses can be compared to the input devices on a computer. A webcam brings in visual information, a microphone, audio information, and so on. The information from these input devices is processed by the computer. We also have input devices, namely eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. These collect sights, sounds, smells, sensations, and tastes. As the input data is processed by the computer, the information coming from these senses is processed by the mind. Our knowledge-acquiring senses all have specific limitations. We can only see within a certain range, not above or below. We cannot see through a wall, for instance, or on the other side of the world. We can also only hear within a certain range. Sounds that are too high or too low will be inaudible to us. We can only smell if the atoms of that substance are thick enough in the atmosphere. We can only feel something if the touch is strong enough, and we can only taste something if the taste is strong enough. Thus we experience only a slice of the world around us, and the rest remains unknown. Animals have the same 5 senses as we do, and sometimes the range of their senses is greater than our own. For example, hawks can see far better than any human. For dogs, a whole world of smell is open, which is closed to us. They can also hear sounds that we cannot. Sharks can smell underwater. But still there is a limit to the senses of animals. They are also only able to perceive information within a certain range, and cannot perceive more. But we have invented devices to extend the range of our senses, and thus expand our knowledge of the world. With a very sensitive microphone, we can detect what our ear cannot. There are devices to detect tiny amounts of chemicals in the atmosphere, which are far more sensitive than the human nose. With a telescope, we can see deep into space, farther than with the naked eye. And with a microscope, we can see small objects, otherwise invisible to us. Moreover, in a global community, we can share information that we have gained in this way, and thus have a broader knowledge base to make conclusions about the world around us. We may have never been to China, but we can learn about China from books, television, or the internet. We can learn about the activities within a blood cell from those who've studied that extensively. We can learn from experts in various fields of knowledge. Thus, our range of knowledge is greatly increased. But still, there is a limit to this kind of knowledge. What is that limit? We still cannot know fully about the history of the Earth or its future. We cannot know much about other galaxies or universes. We cannot understand what are emotions like love, or what are thoughts, or what is the conscious self. The senses and mind are subject to mistakes. For example, when we are sitting on a bus and the bus next to us starts moving, we may think that we are moving. We can mistake a stranger for a person that we know. In the international scientific arena, we can see that theories are constantly changing. What was considered scientific fact even 10 years ago may have been disproven today. So how can we trust today's theories? More importantly, with knowledge gained from the senses and mind, we cannot know whether or not there is a God and a spiritual world, as described by spiritualists. We cannot know about whether or not we are spiritual beings. With this type of knowledge, we cannot confirm or deny the existence of the soul and God. We cannot find out if there is an original source for everything beyond the range of the mind and senses, or if there is not. There are two ways of acquiring knowledge. One is ascending, and the other is descending. Ascending knowledge is that which we have been discussing. Using our senses and mind, we try to discover the truth. The other method is to hear from someone who knows the truth. For example, let's say someone doesn't know how to use a computer, but would like to learn. He can try to learn its use by trial and error. He tries something and sees what it does, and then tries something else. If a room full of people were trying this and telling each other of their discoveries, it might go faster, but it would still be pretty slow. Even if people all over the world were testing and checking in this way, learning this knowledge would still take many years. The other way he could acquire this knowledge is to learn from someone who is expert in computers. By listening to their teachings, he could quickly learn how to use a computer. One method of learning is down to up, and the other is up to down. We hear from all the spiritual teachers of this world that something exists beyond the range of the mind and senses. This is the spiritual reality, which is perceivable only by the soul itself. No matter how smart we are, they say, how much technology we have, and how much we share knowledge with each other, we cannot perceive this reality, which is beyond the range of the mind and senses. Spiritual teachers say that we are spiritual beings and God is real, but these can only be experienced by spiritual revelation and not by any physical method. We cannot confirm or deny this claim based on the evidence of the senses and mind, even with the help of modern technology. So, if we are at all to gain information about that which is beyond the range of our mind and senses, we must look for a person who is situated